and welcome to Pokemon Card Game College 103, or
Building Your First Deck.
If you are content on just using a theme deck for now, you can mostly just skip this one. If you don't have access to a theme deck, since they aren't a thing past about halfway through Gen 8, meaning everybody, then this will help you build a deck with whatever you've got in your shoebox collection. Don't actually keep your cards in a shoebox, please.
How gross would that be?
And they'd be super easily damaged too.
Yeah. So this video comes from a recent manual that the Pokemon Company published, and it's honestly surprising how good some of the sections are inside of it. The link is in the description, and Editor Me will hopefully put it on screen too. It was from the required readings as well, so hopefully you've actually looked through it at least a little bit before this. From the website, you will want to grab the Pokemon TCG Alternative Play Handbook. It's got a few good things that I'll be covering later, but today we will cover the Multi-Experience Grow and Go on page 10. The main idea behind this style of deck building is to help you see what works and what doesn't. It's a similar idea for why theme decks are basically trash until you trade out 70% of the deck with better cards, but this process will show you why you don't want half a deck of basic energy cards rather than just me telling you and you blindly following everything I say. Insert subscribe to my channel joke here.
What a show.
Yeah, I know. To start, go grab whatever cards you've got and start digging. See what cards are similar enough to start building a deck with. You'll probably want to do a little pre-planning, as this setup will require some Stage 2 Pokemon, so you'll probably want to find your favorite starter and a few Pokemon of matching types. It doesn't really matter if the deck ends up being bad to start. This is a full learning process, and you'll be trading cards in and out anyways. I'll be expecting that you pause this video many times to play along, unless you've got no friends to play with, like myself. Then just keep watching and continue being lonely. Level 1. Start with a 20-card deck, basic Pokemon of 70 HP or less with no abilities, and some basic energy. A 10-10 split is recommended. For special rules, you will play with 2 prize cards instead of 6, and no special conditions. Find someone else to play with, and even both of you can start this deck building process together. And if you need a refresher, you can always rewatch Pokemon Card Game College 101. Totally shameless self-plug there.
Still a show.
I know. Even for a 20-card deck, this is still a good way to practice many of the basics of how to play. Once you feel good and practiced up, you can move on. Level 2. Add 10 cards, 3 Stage 1s that evolve from Pokemon that are already in your deck, and the rest can be basics of 120 HP or less, or basic energies. Start the game with 3 prize cards, and now you play with all rules. Now you'll be adding in all the rules, special conditions, and even abilities. This is just half a deck at this point, as it's missing all the trainers, so you'll be able to see what a Gen 1 theme deck felt like, and why I complained so much last lecture. Play a few more rounds, then move on. Level 3. Add 10 more cards, but all of them are item cards. Remember that pre-Gen 9 tool cards are no longer considered item cards, even though they say that they are. Start the game with 4 prize cards, and you still play with all the rules. You're up to 40 cards now, and hopefully you've got some good items. Stuff like Great Ball works nicely for these styles of decks, but do look at what you've got and consider how your deck is coming along. Play a few more rounds, see how well the items help, and move on. And since this was written in Gen 8, you could probably include tool cards with the item cards, so it just kind of depends on what you feel like doing. Level 4, 10 more cards, all of them items or supporters. You may remove up to 5 Pokemon and replace them with Stage 1 or 2 Pokemon that evolve from Pokemon that are already in your deck. Set up the game with 5 prizes and still with all the rules. Almost a full deck of cards now, plus you've got more trainers to work with, and even some slight deck refinement. If you've been playing along, you'll likely be able to pick out some of the weaker / hardly used cards in your deck, meaning you're starting to understand the basics of deck building. So make the changes, play a few more rounds, and move on. Level 5. Add 10 more cards, all of them are trainers of any variety. You may remove any 5 cards and replace them with Pokemon or energies, including special energies. Set the game up with 6 prize cards and play with all rules. So you finally have a full 60 card deck. You can either stop here or play a few more rounds to see how your deck is handling now that it can have tools, stadiums, and special energy cards. But really, why wouldn't you want to keep playing such a fun game and format that is geared towards teaching new people the absolute basics of the game with a side of deck building?
Because it's boring.
That was mostly a rhetorical question. Of course they'll want to keep playing. Probably. So after playing a few more rounds, move on to the final level. Level 6. Congratulations! You already have a full 60 card deck. You may replace any 5 cards with another 5 cards. You're already playing a full normal game at this point. So are you happy with the deck you've built? Are there further changes you'd like to make to it? If so,
the claws have sunk in.
At least far enough that this will be your probably most expensive hobby for the foreseeable future. Don't worry, Lecture 105 is all about having this hobby and not spending every dime for a wonderful time. So if you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you stick around for next lecture? Which could also help staying on budget, is
Physical versus digital.
see you next lecture.